Hi friends and soon to be friends. It's me again, Jesslyn, and I'm here with another body doubling video. This is actually sort of a back-to-back video. You may notice I'm wearing the same clothes if you watched the one where I did some batch cooking. It's just the same day but later because now I have to clean the kitchen. The dishes really. So that's what I'm going to do today. If you don't know what body doubling is, it's when I work and you work. It doesn't have to be you and me. Other people can body double. But when one person works at the same time someone else works, you're generally in the same room. In this case, not exactly in the same room as you, but you get the idea. So we work together and it helps us both get it done. Because when someone's working with you, it's harder to quit or to stop, because there's someone else working with you. And you don't want to interrupt their flow or whatever they're doing. So it's kind of like having me be a friend in the room with you, getting stuff done together, right? And you're my friend in the room with me, getting stuff done. We're here for each other. So that's the idea. Today I'll be doing dishes. I do have another dishes video that I've already done. You're welcome to pop over there, or you can check this one out. And I'm going to try to do something a little different. I'm going to be honest. That other video that I did earlier today, it was very long and I am in pain and I am tired to the point of exhaustion. So I definitely wouldn't be getting this done today if it weren't for you being here with me. But I'm going to try, and so I pointed that out because what I was trying to say is I might not be as good at this as I'm going to try to be, since it's a new thing. But I'm going to try to do the dishes this time with kind of mindfulness in mind. The idea here is just going to be that sometimes we do dishes, or I do dishes, and I'm like, don't like it, and even have some sensory issues with it. And it's just difficult, but there's always dishes to do. We have a family of 5. There are always dishes to do. So I'm going to try today something a little different for myself, and you're coming along with me, I hope, where I lean into the sensations of doing the dishes and lean into the activity of doing dishes instead of sort of pulling away from it, or just like, I just want to get it over with. I just want to not think about this. I don't like how it feels, and I'm trying to avoid that or like push away from it. So today I'm going to lean into it. I'm going to take you along with me for this ride as best I can. Again, this is just something I'm trying out for myself, and I thought it might be good for other people. If you have major sensory problems with the dishes, you may want to check out my other dishes video instead of this one. I do go into some tips there for helping me with the sensory issues of it, but it's not super bad for me. So like I said, I'm going to try to lean in on those things, really feel the feels, and I've been working with that with my pain management, to lean into it instead of pushing it away. And it has been rather helpful in certain ways, so I'm going to try to use that same technique here. So without further ado, dishes. I've just realized I don't really have everything's in the sink, so it's hard to clean there. So I guess the first step is preparing the workplace. And how can I be mindful about this? That's a good question. I can be thoughtful about what having this load of dishes implies. To have this many dishes alone is something to be grateful for. Certainly not something everyone is capable of having or has. So that is a privilege in itself. So I'm thankful for the actual dishes. And then too, I'm thankful for the food that I've made, and that I'm able to afford that. A lot of it was fresh vegetables and things that in the not so distant past, I couldn't have afforded, especially in the amounts that we had them. So for that, I am also grateful. And then to just have a place to do sink, running water. I have lived for over a year in a place that did not have running water or heated water. And to do the dishes, we had to, it did have running water because Matt is a genius. It didn't have running water in the way that you probably have it in your home. But I was able to use a sink because he was able to get our rainwater stuff like hooked up, so we had sort of a sink area. But if I wanted to do dishes, I had to boil water on the stove, or like heat water on the stove to be able to do dishes, because we didn't have hot water like straight into our house unless it was the, you know, August or something, and the water was heated in the line as it came in, just from the sun. In which case we didn't have cold water. So that is something to be grateful for as well. Just having clean water. I mean, it's a good thing to have access to. That's an understatement. So can you find, with whatever you're doing, it doesn't have to be dishes, although I'll be aiming this mindfulness at dishes. You can certainly use it for other things. I've got a little bit of clean dishes left in here that I need to put up before I can get started with the dirty dishes. So I know it looks like these are shot glasses. I mean, they are. We use them for medicine. Not that there's anything wrong with using them for alcohol. We do that occasionally too. But what I was saying before that is there anything that you can find about the task that you have chosen to do right now that you can be grateful for? You know, it's my mom, who I love and admire. She has, not super recently, but I was going to say recently anyway, started calling her task lists instead of to-dos. It's like get-to-dos or things that she needs to get done. She calls them her privileges instead of like responsibilities that she has to do with. So like paying her bills is a privilege instead of a, you know, a task or to-do or whatever. And even though that's not really something that I am interested in, you know, like using it for myself, I think that the mindset of that is very helpful and a good way to do. And that might be something that you choose to do. It helps her get her things done, because instead of seeing them as some thing she has to do that she doesn't want to do, she starts to reframe it as being something that she gets to do, that she's, you know, lucky enough to be able to do. And I think that's pretty cool. So shout out to my mom. She's amazing. And what a privilege that is, to not only have an amazing mom, but to have her in my life still, and to you know, have a good relationship with her. So that's another thing, not dishes related. I'm not sure I'm doing the mindfulness of the dishes itself, but I'm trying to be mindful in general. I don't rinse stuff most of the time. I say as I begin to rinse something. Before I put it in the dishwasher, Matt is an appliance repairman, and he says I don't need to, so that's why I don't. And honestly, with our dishwasher, we don't usually need to, and that's another thing that I can be grateful for. But in this mindfulness, I want to think about what I'm actually doing, not just things to be grateful for, although that's a great start. But, you know, for me, like that noise, I'm not going to do it again, but that noise from that cups, these metal cups, when they touch each other, it really is not a comfortable noise for me. It's a really unfortunate noise, but it's those things, you know, noticing the noise things make, you know. This one didn't get cleaned when we put it in last time, so I'm going to need to give it a little bit of help. Whoops, whoops, whoops. Like the sound of the sprayer, the sound of the water, the clink of the things going into the dishwasher. Whatever sounds are around you, can you listen to them for a little bit? Can you kind of tune into the sounds, not just of my voice, but of your task? Give it a try. Uh-oh, I can't reach the sponges because of the... Oh no, I can't reach the sponges. Do I have one down here? I do. Oh, thank goodness. Okay, so did you listen to the sounds around you, or maybe the sounds on the video? If you were having trouble hearing the sounds around you, maybe you're hearing the sounds around me. Yeah? If you're doing it and you know you want to, you're in a, I understand if you're doing dishes, you're not exactly going to be typing comments on the video at the same time. Your hands are probably wet. But if you think about it, I would love to hear some of what you experienced during this, you know, hopefully more mindful version of something you need to do. So please feel free to let me know, you know, what sounds you hear. And you don't need to judge the sounds. That's part of the part that of being mindful of things that I started learning with the pain stuff is to, you don't have to, you just listen to what is there and experience whatever it is without necessarily labeling it as good or bad. You know, you can just label it with hearing if you are hearing it, or you can label it with feeling if you are having that sensation, either an emotion or a physical touch kind of feeling. So let's think on that right now. What are you feeling? And, you know, it's okay if it's not your favorite feeling, if it's a horrible feeling, if it's pain. I know it's hard to say that that's okay. I hope that you will bear with me if you don't agree. That's okay too. But if you can, maybe lean into what your body is feeling right now. Whether that be the water coursing over your hands, or, you know, what does your sponge feel like? What does your sponge actually feel like? And you don't have to say, oh, it feels soft, it feels hard, it feels bumpy. Just experience what it feels like, but actually pay attention to that experience, right? It could even be, what is your body feeling right now? You know, I can feel in my back certain feelings, tension and such. I can feel, you know, I'm having some shoulder problems. I feel that shoulder. I can feel my breath if I pay attention closely enough. I can feel the vibration of my vocal cords as I speak with you, you know? So you can just notice those things. Just let them be part of your experience. And if that's, you know, such a foreign concept to you, but you're wanting to try and you're just not sure exactly how to do it, as something comes into your head that you're feeling, confusion, frustration maybe with this idea, or boredom or whatever, or you're feeling, you know, soapy, wet water on you, and whether that's a thing that you can enjoy or not, you don't have to think about whether you enjoy it or not, and you don't have to think about even what is causing it. You know, I can just let my fingers, the nerves in my fingers, tell the neurons in my brain to tell me that they feel something, you know? And I can just say feeling in my head and then think about, just allow myself to experience what it feels like. And that can be really difficult not to say it feels hot, it feels good, it feels bad, it feels slimy, whatever. But if you can just say it feels, or if you're really going to go for it, you can say, I accept this. I accept the soapiness. I accept the wetness. That's fine. That's another way to do it. You can also just think feeling, or just watch from the background of your brain as it tells you what your body is experiencing. I'm going to give you a chance to practice it now. I'm going to do it with you. I know I said I wasn't going to rinse stuff, and then I am, but, you know, who cares? How did that go? Were you able to experience what's happening? It's almost like getting out of your mind by getting really deep into your mind. You know, like, I don't know if this has been your experience, but with anxiety, I feel like sometimes I'm trapped in my mind. You know, my mind is, and ADHD plays into that too. My mind's just doing things, and it's prisoner almost, just being pulled here and there, and, you know, I can't get out of my mind, and it's just all happening to me. I don't know if I'm explaining that well, but with mindfulness in these kind of moments, and I am practicing it while I talk, I promise, I find that it gets me out of that thinking mind, out of that worrying, anxious, or cluttered, overactive, however you want to describe it, out of that feeling, and it lets me really I sink into my mind instead of being trapped by my mind. I'm now listening to my mind and not the anxiety. So that's what I mean by getting out of your mind, because there's some kind of turn of phrase that people say about, you know, when you're having like worrying and stuff, like to get out of your mind. I'm not saying it quite right. I don't remember what the phrase is, but it's to, like, you know, stop the overthinking. But I find, again, this is the leaning in. You could get out of that worrying, that anxiety loop or whatever, by focusing on something else, right? I think most people will know what I mean by that. Like with kids, you do it too. Like when they're upset, when a little kid especially is upset, sometimes the best thing you could do is distract them. It's not that you're not going to deal with those feelings, but sometimes they need to just have a way to get out of those feelings. They need an exit plan, and distraction is a very good one, particularly when they're having trouble behaving or whatever, right? So if a kid is like a toddler is trying to do something they're not supposed to do, you know, a lot of times it just helps to distract them with something they can do, because they don't really have the whole brain capacity to understand, you know, what they like, why they should or shouldn't do something. And sometimes it's better just to, I mean, go ahead and say those things, do the other stuff, but then distract them so that they can move on to something else. And I think that my brain is often like a toddler. And so sometimes, yeah, when I'm worrying and anxious or whatever, it helps to do something else. You know, I get lost on my phone or something for a while. And that can relieve that stress, but it isn't always the best way to do it. Like, as an ADHD, as an hody like dopamine seeker, it's not always the best thing for my brain and body to allow myself to escape into some of my diversions, which are helpful sometimes, but sometimes it's not the best thing that I could do for my body, and that's okay. I'm not trying to say you always have to do the best thing. None of us are capable of that, but it's nice to have another option, right? That would be like escaping into something else, distraction from your problems, and that does serve a great purpose. But this is like the opposite of that. Mindfulness to what you're doing is like escaping in the opposite direction. And for me, it can be a much healthier option in some cases. So yeah, so leaning in instead of trying to escape. That's really been helping me in my pain management. And I'm hoping it's helping me here, because I am in pain and I can feel that and I can accept it and I can keep doing what I need to do and keep experiencing now as it is. And I understand this may not be for everyone. I'm not saying that the solution is the solution that will help everyone. That's certainly, you know, so if you aren't a person that is feeling like this is a good activity for you, or that it's, you know, I don't know, toxic positivity or something, then, you know, you don't, there's other things. Like I said, you can do the other dishwashing thing. I'm just trying something new here, and we'll see what happens. If you do feel like this isn't a helpful thing for you, please, before you leave to check out the other dishwashing thing, can you just give me a comment so that I know what people are feeling about it? You know, just say, hey, I decided to skip out and do the other one because this just wasn't for me, so that I know. No shame, no judgment. I'm just wanting to know what works and doesn't work, so I can continue to help you while helping me. I guess on the other side of that, if you do find this helpful, then please let me know that also, if you feel comfortable doing so. Back to mindfulness. What can you feel or hear or see? Pick one of those senses and let's drop into that sense. You know, maybe you're hearing things and you've decided to, you know, focus on the noises around you. The little hum of the refrigerator, the clink of the silverware, my voice, maybe the little music that's playing in this video, if there is any. Maybe it's the sights. Let your eyes take over. Whatever works best for you. I'm going to give us both some quiet time to focus on those feelings, those experiences that we're having right now. keep going. It's okay if you switch senses. It's okay if you get distracted by thought. There's no judgment here. You don't need to judge yourself. I'm certainly not judging you. Drop back into those sensations if you can. How's that going for you? Are you feeling it? Is it working? Is it any different than your normal way of doing this? You don't have to decide if it's better or worse. Just let it be. What's going on here? Okay. Speaking of sounds, and I hope that you're able to get into your thing, I'm going to apologize right now if this is loud and horrible. If it is, I'll ask Matt to turn it down in the audio. But I'm going to focus in. I'm going to lean in on that sound. I'm going to let myself experience it without labeling it as good or bad, without saying, oh, that's hurting my ears, but rather just feel what it feels. What does that pain feel like? What does the sound sound like? How's it going? Are you sticking with me? You're sticking with it? Keep focusing on those feelings, those sensations, hearing, smell, right? Sound. Pick one and follow it for a while. See how it goes. Another technique within this sensations, kind of this feeling into it kind of work here, is to find the softest, the most far away thing So if you're doing sounds, then instead of thinking about the scraping sound, what's the like quietest or most far away sound you can hear? Maybe it's like cars outside. Maybe it's like the hum of your refrigerator, or I can hear the fish tank that's in another room. I mean, not very far, but it is further than the refrigerator. Or maybe you can hear like some bird song outside. See if you can continue focusing on that, listening for that while you do something louder, right? Or maybe you can hear like your cat or your dog's breath, like as they sleep somewhere nearby. Some just like soft sound. And you don't have to hear it the whole time. There, you know, if you know it's happening, if you're able to catch it, and you know, like bird song, it's gonna come and go, right? Probably. But you're using your ears to search for that through whatever else might be making noise. And that has helped me a lot. You can do the same thing with touch, right? Like instead of thinking about how something feels slimy or whatever thing that it is you don't like to feel, try to find another feeling, like the sensation of your feet on the ground, to like tap into and experience that part of right now, instead of fully experiencing the sensation that you aren't doing well with. And that has helped my sensory stuff a lot, because there's times where I can't get away from the noise. I'm a very like noise averse person, which is crazy, which is not that great because I'm also a very loud person. I have to run the disposal for a second. So being able to, when my kids are being loud and rowdy and chaotic, and I'm starting to feel that sensation of being overwhelmed to the point of panicking, if I can accept that this is going on, right? Just tell myself, this is just what I'm experiencing now, and it will not always be here. And then right then find something else that I'm experiencing right now that I can handle better. Even if they're being loud, focusing on my feet on the floor, like I can feel my feet touching the floor, and just focusing on that, it's almost like it turns the volume down just the tiniest bit to enough that I can handle, you know, I don't get to that panic, you know, I don't get to that sensory overload where I just shut down. So right now, let's all focus on either a soft sound or a sensation that's happening in our body right now that isn't an unpleasant situation. So it could be maybe you're listening to the music that's on the video. Maybe you can hear the water or your dog or cat or birds. Maybe it's you know, your feet on the ground, or you know, somewhere your clothing is touching that you can feel it. You can think about the sensation of breathing. What does it feel like to breathe? You know, is your body moving when you breathe? Yeah, of course, that's a classic meditation right there, to focus on your breath. But it doesn't have to be your breath. The feet on the floor thing, that really helps me sometimes. So let's focus on something we're experiencing right now that isn't the main thing we're experiencing, and see what that feels like. So pick one thing and try to stick with that one thing. Let it be your home base. Let it be your place that you come back to. And if you catch yourself feeling, you know, whatever it is that you're doing that isn't that you're trying to, just say okay and go back to feeling it. You don't have to, you're not doing it wrong. You're not making a mistake. There's nothing to judge badly about having to come back to it, having gone away from it and having to come back to it. That's the activity. That's what we're trying to do. We're not trying to stay completely 100% focused to that one thing all the time. We're trying to sit with that and just experience that part of our life, that part of our what's going on right now, of our experience, without judgment to it. So if you forget what you were doing, if you're not thinking of your breath or your feet or, you know, the sound outside or whatever, you catch yourself thinking something else, then just go back to it. You can smile and say, that's okay, and then just go back to it. I promise that I won't tell anybody if you're struggling with this. If you just keep trying, nobody's gonna know. Okay? We're not perfect, and we're not trying for perfection. All right, so find that thing and let's lean into something small and something quiet in our experience right now. Remember to just come back to it. If you start thinking or feeling somewhere else, or listening for something else, that's okay. Just go on back. If you're getting frustrated, if you're thinking this isn't for you, that's okay too. Keep trying if you want to. Or go back to experiencing whatever part of your reality or experience right now. But let's stay mindful with this task, with ourselves right now. Keep it up. We got this. I believe in you. Even if it's hard, especially if it's hard. How did that feel? How did it feel to do that? Was that helpful to you? Did you notice anything different than how it usually feels to do the dishes or whatever task you're working on? I mean, if you want to, you can keep doing that, you know? You can keep focusing on that small thing, you know? Or you can go back and focus on just any part of your experience. That's fine. It's just the noticing that we're here to do. That's it. We're just noticing. Whatever it is that's going on with us, we're just noticing. Hopefully, you're noticing, like me, that when you're mindful of the task, it's a little easier. It goes a little faster. I was actually really overwhelmed before I started this video. Like I said, I did that video earlier today. It was really long. It was a lot of work. I told you at the beginning of this that I felt, exhausted, and I still feel tired. But before it seemed like so much, and now I'm down to just this is all I have left. And normally, having done this many dishes, especially already coming into it already exhausted and tired and my body hurting, I would have spent a lot of this time, I don't know, not quite complaining, sort of just silently having to deal with whatever, putting up with it. But that hasn't been my experience here. This has been very helpful for me. I don't know if it's been the same for you, but I feel like it was, easier. It went faster or was less overwhelming by just focusing on what I'm doing, focusing on now. I didn't once look over here and think about how much I had left to do, and that is normal. I'll count dishes and count down as I wash, and not doing that, it was a relief, to be honest. So I definitely think that doing this mindful work was helpful for me. I hope hope you found it helpful. I hope that I was able to give you something to think about that would be helpful to you, or that was something new or different or interesting. If not, that's okay. If this isn't for you, that's okay too. There's no one size fits all for sensory or pain or, neurodivergence or anything. It doesn't even have to be any of that. There's just no one size fits all solution to life, and your experience is your experience. So whatever you experience doing this is totally valid and, not in any way imperfect compared to how someone else might have experienced it. Just because I felt like it was good for me and I have an overall positive view of it, that doesn't make whatever you experienced any different, right? It doesn't make what you feel or what you had less than, So that's the whole point, right? Of experiencing, of focusing on the experience, is to, in whatever way you can, accept now. In many cases, there's nothing you could do about it, so acceptance might be the only thing you can do, or at least the most. I don't know where I'm going with that, but accepting, I thought I was done cleaning this, I was not. Accepting what we're experiencing, when we can. I understand there's some things out there. I understand. I'm sure some of you are ready to jump down my throat. Nah. I know y'all aren't like that. We're all cool here. No judgment zone. I'm sure there are people out there who would jump down my throat to say that there are some things that are so horrific as to be unexperienceable, and there isn't a way to find acceptance because something was so unacceptable. And I totally understand. Like, I don't understand, but, I hear that, even in my own mind. I'm not trying to invalidate or say that everything that happens to you is okay, because obviously there are things that aren't. There are things that people will experience that are not in any way okay. I'm not trying to devalue that. Only to say that whatever we are experiencing right now is our only choice in a lot of ways. So if you aren't in one of those completely unacceptable, unbearable places, I'm not saying that everybody is in a place to do what I'm talking about. I'm just saying, if it's helpful to you, if you're able to accept things as they are, it can be a helpful thing. Be Nelson Mandela. In so many ways, there are so many ways that it would be good to be Nelson Mandela. What a role model. As far as I know, hit me up if I am wrong. I don't want to be whenever people talk about Gandhi or Mother Teresa, like they're these incredible people, I'm like, I know why you think that, but there is more to the story than maybe I'm comfortable. But putting that aside, what I know of what I meant by being Nelson Mandela is he was able to find this sort of acceptance of his situation, even when some of the things that were going on were unacceptable, even when it was just plain wrong. So, be Nelson Mandela. That may be asking a lot. Am I done with the dishes? Okay. I don't know if you can see from your view that there are some dirty dishes on the table. Those are that's the meal / snack that my kids are currently if they were allowed to be in this room, because I've asked them to go in the other room, would be eating. So that's still out for them to eat. And I do have some of the food I cooked still cooling on the counter to put away. But oh my goodness, my friends, you have helped me so much. I have loved experiencing this with you. I hope that you enjoyed it too. Please let me know if it's a thumbs up or a thumbs down, or a comment to let me know, you know. I don't know. What did you think? What did you feel? What was your experience like? I'm thinking about doing one of these for laundry, at least, as another thing, because these are things that I have to do constantly that I hardly ever want to do. And it's helpful for me to have you along when I do them, but also it's helpful to me to, at least this was, to be mindful during them. And so that makes the experience different and more bearable for me. So I think laundry would be a good one. But let me know what you think. And if you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing to the channel. We also have a Patreon. If you would like to go there, as little as $1 a month. If you don't even want to do that, but you would like to support the channel, and I totally understand not everyone has money to, watching the videos and liking and commenting is also a fantastic way to support our channel and what we're doing here. But if you would like to do something monetarily that isn't monthly, like a commitment, then, you know, throw us some money over at Ko-Fi. All those links are in the description box. You know, we could get a coffee or something. I don't do coffee too much because of the caffeine thing, but I would love to have a sparkling water or something with you. So thank you so much. Remember that I appreciate you for who you are right now. Whether you got anything done, whether you felt good about what happened, what you experienced here or not, I'm okay with that, and I'm okay with you, and I hope that you feel like this is a safe space for you to be. Until next time, bye. See you later.